It's Nick with Dynamic Homes. I'm here with Tyler Drews with Up North Construction. He is our local dealer here for Dynamic Homes. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through the process, what we call a button-up procedure. That way there's no surprises when this house comes to the set and gets put on your foundation. We want to make sure everything's going to work. So Tyler, when you get a customer interested in a Dynamic home, what are the first things you walk them through just to make sure this is going to run smoothly?
Well, the first thing we talk about is we really go out and check out their site.
Sure.
We check out, make sure that we can get the house in and out of the house in the site, the crane in the site. We make sure we have a 30 by 40 crane setup area. We make sure that if there's any large trees near the driveway, anything like that, that we have those conversations before we've spent a lot of money on drafting and put a lot of your time and my time into estimating and picking out costs, that their site is set up, that there's a way to get the house in and out of their site. So large hills, trees, anything like that could be an issue. I talk to you, I talk to the set crew, I talk to the transportation director to see if there's any question, to make sure way up front that we can get it done properly and without a huge crane bill due to setting up 100 yards from the site.
Right.
So.
The last thing we want to do is have 3 semis in a crane and know where to go when we get to the site.
Yes, exactly.
And when it comes to prepping driveways, or they're making it wider, or bringing a load of class 5, or trimming trees, that's something that Up North does, correct?
Correct. Yep. We know it up front, and after you do a couple, you kind of figure out what it takes, what works and what doesn't work, and yeah, that's got to be figured in up front on my end with the customer and with the costs. And sometimes there's those tough conversations where, hey, we have to take out this tree to get in here, or it's not going to work. We have to talk, have to send them a different direction. So we want to have those conversations up front, make sure the site at least 18 feet wide on the driveway, because these modules are 16 feet, and if there's corners, it needs to be wider.
Right.
And then we need to talk about, well, can we do the garage foundation with the house? Or does it have to be done later, because that's our only area to set up the crane?
Right.
So those things, I would say just about the most important thing right up front is making sure that the house can get in, the crane can get in, and that the set can go smoothly.
Sure. And if you ever have any questions or any dealers, our transportation director is the one to call. He'll come to site and he'll give it the thumbs up that this is a go.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, we're still inside talking about final adjustments that Tyler and our dealer has to do on site. Once the house sits for 3 to 4 weeks, lets it acclimate with heat, correct, Tyler? We want heat in the house?
Definitely, and when it's wintertime, gotta have heat in the house. 3-4 weeks minimum before we start doing some of the minor adjustments. Just let the house settle into its final resting spot, all the humps and bumps and little dips in the foundation. It kind of gets to its final spot. Cracks, adjustments, all that seem to kind of almost get worse for a couple weeks, and then it stops. So if you can just let the heat go on, let it settle, it ends up being a much more of a one and done adjustment situation.
Sure, rather than get to it right away and have to come back
and do it again. Right.
Yeah, the house goes through a lot, whether it's inside in our climate controlled factory, outside in the cold, delivered, crane set down the road. One of the things that Tyler is going to look at is the cabinet adjustments. There might be some slight movement in the cabinet doors once it's set. Tyler, tell us what you got to do with that.
Yeah, definitely. So there's adjustable hinges here. So there's screws that'll adjust this cabinet door in and out, top and bottom, so that, even though it leaves the factory nice and flush, looking like it's supposed to, after it goes down the road, after it gets set, all sorts of angles to get down to its final, sometimes this needs to be adjusted to make it look like it's supposed to.
Sure. So while we're talking about doors, we move from cabinet doors to interior doors. This is just another slight adjustment that our dealer might have to do on site. Tyler, tell us what you're looking for here once the house is set.
Yeah, definitely. You want it to latch properly. You want the frame to be square. Most of the time you can do it with a shim here or there and a hinge screw. Sometimes, worst case scenario, you got to cut the jamb loose and readjust it. I think it depends a lot on the foundation and how much racking has to be done on site to get things to sit how they're supposed to. But you definitely, again, 3 to 4 weeks with the heat on, let it sit, let everything kind of settle to where it's going to be, and then go back and door by door adjust them and make sure they work properly.
Just a couple final interior things to talk about. When you get the house set, obviously we want power to this house. The big question is, we set our houses either on a crawl space or a full foundation, and that determines whether we have the panel box upstairs, downstairs, in a crawl space. Tyler,
Sometimes in the garage.
sometimes in the garage. So as you see down here, we have all these wires coiled up. What's the most important thing we want on site with that?
Well, yeah, part of the thing that we go through when we're drafting and doing the design before the house is ever built is figure out where that panel location is going to be. If it's going to be in the garage, in the house, or in the basement, where is that utility room? Because what they do here in the plant is they'll coil up enough wire so these home runs can make it all the way to the panel without having a splice.
Sure.
So sometimes in the chalets, 2 stories, there's some quick connects that go together in the attic, but Rambler like this, there typically isn't any. There typically is wire coiled up to go, especially the 220 wire, to go all the way to the panel so that it can be tied up correctly without any splices.
So one of the things when you build modular, it's kind of like a Lego set, right? When these houses get set, they come together. So a big question is flooring. So plank flooring has become more and more popular with our customers. And what we like to do in the factory is we'll do one half of the house. Typically it's the kitchen side. And as you can see here, we have a finished floor, but we also have a 3-inch, inch and a half on one side, inch and a half on the other. It's a strip down the middle, and we leave that for our on-site dealer, Tyler in this case. Tyler, walk us through what you do with that spot.
Yeah, so one of the first things I do when the house is set is put this strip in here. They're sent, they're pre-cut. It's a 10-minute job, but before we tape, before everybody tracks mud, tracks dirt, gets this groove all full of stuff that we have to scrape and vacuum out, I like to put that strip in right away.
Sure.
That way it's done. Then after the taping, after the painting, nearly one of the last things we do is we tie into the flooring and we floor all the way across so that there's no center seam strip.
Sure.
It's all tongue and grooved correctly together.
Right, like you said, we want to avoid that strip running down in the middle of the house. We could certainly do this half in the plant, but then you're going to have that strip down the middle and nobody wants that. So like Tyler said, that strip in the middle gives you a smooth transition to the other half and gives you a nice complete look with your plank flooring. Just a couple final interior things we're gonna work with Tyler on. Like he mentioned earlier, we want to have this house set on its foundation at least 3 to 4 weeks with heat in the wintertime, let this house acclimate. It also will allow cracks, if they're gonna appear, they're gonna show up in that first month, whether it's center seam, by a window. Kind of talk about what we're looking for there.
Yep, as the house settles, from day 1 set day till a month later with the heat on, you will notice more cracking open up, usually a couple hairline cracks above some of the bigger windows, bigger doors. I let all that open up so that we can come in with the taping crew one time. Obviously we got to do taping in the center line,
Sure.
the center line on the gable ends, but yeah, at the same time there's usually a touch-up crack here, a touch-up crack there, just from the shipping, the setting, the crane setting, the house flexing, getting onto the foundation. Some of those cracks open up. So
Sure.
let it sit with the heat on and then come back, hit it all once.
Right.
You end up not having to go back over carpet, over finished flooring,
Sure.
and trying to redo it, over finished painting.
Pay for that drywaller to come back out to the site.
Yeah, you can usually get it all done in one shot.
Sure.
If you can give it a little bit of time and then go back and don't try and rush through the taping. It's a process. It takes pre-filling the joints and then doing the tape. I think in the handbook it talks in detail about how to make that center joint so that it
Sure.
holds up long term.
Sure. And as you see here, we have a post, and many are wondering, I don't want this in my living room. Don't worry, that'll be taken out by Tyler on site. That is just transportation purposes only. We have spans and we don't want any sagging in the roof, so we put in these temporary posts that you take out on site, correct?
Yeah, a couple nails that aren't drove home all the way, like you can see there, and the thing pops right out. So after the house is bolted together on site by the dynamic set crew, those posts can come out. It's usually one of the places I like to joke with the homeowners about. Didn't they want the post
didn't want
here
that there.
or something like that? And it usually makes a light moment on. Sometimes,
Sure.
usually a good day. So.
Right. All right, we've moved outside. One of the things we're going to talk about right away is how do we fasten this house to its foundation? The last thing we want is any movement there. Talk about what we need to do once this house is set and what it looks like.
So
for
let's
you.
say this is your sill plate. Depending on your foundation, can be a 2x8, 2x10. But yeah, we go 4-inch screws every 16 inches all the way around the whole house, making sure that house on the exterior is tied down tight. And then Dynamic sends plywood strips, so we put them on below the sheeting and to the sill. So we nail it to the house, we nail it to the sill plate. After that, we take the Tyvek is stapled up, we just flop it down, staple that down. Now we have a house that is shedding moisture, water, rain, whatever it is, all the way down past the foundation.
And I would imagine you want to do that right away.
Absolutely. Day one task, make sure that this house, A, it looks better, so when people come and look, that it looks a lot cleaner.
Sure.
But B, it's shedding water rather than this pocket here holding water over the course of the project.
Sure. All right, we're still outside here with Tyler. Just want to show you what it looks like when we get on site and how we make this actually look like a home. Modular homes are basically a stick-built house built indoors. But when it gets on site, people wonder, well, how do we get our pitch on our house the way it looks like every other house in the neighborhood? Dynamic Homes about 30 years ago did something really special, and they went to a standard 612 pitch, which is an upgrade from, it was a 312 pitch back in the 70s. Tyler, tell us what that's done for selling our homes.
Absolutely. It used to be you'd drive around and you can tell every modular home out there by a 312 roof pitch and a center strip.
Sure.
It's completely different now. Every Dynamic home has either, I should say most have either a 6 or an 812 pitch, and they've done that through this hinged roof design. It looks like it's laying flat. It looks like and that's simply so that we can stay under height to go down the road, but there's a hinge point right there in the truss, and so the first thing the crane will do on site, hook onto this roof, they'll lift it up, and then this wall right here will actually fold down and be the vertical support for the roof system. So you'll have a 612 pitch,
Sure.
Which has been one of the biggest things that Dynamic has done to make a higher quality home. It sheds water better, shingles hold up longer, lots of things. One of the things with that though is when this gets hinged up, there is a 1 to 2 foot gap in the center that needs to be finished on site. So day one on site, day two on site, whatever it is, it's one of the first things we like to do. Get that center, get that ridge on, get those shingles and that cap on so that you have a watertight home.
Right.
All the cap, either the strips or the 2x6s, Dynamic sends inside the home, so it's really our project. Throw the strips up there, get it capped, and then you'll have to finish the top 3 rows of shingles. This flat part is actually all shingled right now. It's ready to go. There's a strip on the bottom edge so that the shingles don't seal down before it's set and hinged up. Hinge it up, put the couple rows on the top, ridge cap, and you have a sealed up home.
So when this house gets set, we're 90% done as far as roof work. You guys just make it watertight once we're there.
Yep, exactly.
All right, we're still talking roof systems. We just got done with our hinged roof. Now we've moved to what's becoming more and more popular, a cap roof. It allows us to have that steeper pitch on the inside, gives us our 412 pitch. Tyler, talk a little bit about what it looks like on site. It comes just like this. How do you finish this on site?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so that Cape Cod style, like you said, it's becoming way more popular. We can get a nice steep interior vault, a lot of times tongue and groove pine on it, dress it up a little bit, but it is more on-site work.
Sure.
So same thing with the hinged roof design. It's already insulated. That cellulose recycled newspaper insulation is already there. But in this situation, the cap of the rafter here is going to be shipped loose.
Sure.
So all of the sheeting that's up here right now is screwed down. You unscrew that, set it off to the side, set all those cap rafters on top of the 2x that are here, nail them down, put that sheeting back up, and now you have your 6, or this is sometimes where they do an 812 roof design. Again, it's an extra day on site. You definitely want to figure that in. A little more work, and you definitely want to do it right away.
Right.
Again, day 1, day 2, get that so it's shedding water,
right,
so you don't have moisture issues. So a little more work, but it definitely
just some more planning on your end.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
But like we said, it's becoming more and more popular with customers to get that vault.
I think of the homes that we did this year, a half were Cape Cod style roof designs.
Sure. All right, so that kind of puts a wrap on what we call a button-up procedure when our house gets set on site, and our dealer takes it from there. What we do in addition to all these different things that Tyler has been nice enough to show us is we bring any dealers in, any new dealers in, and we bring them through what we call a dynamic university. We talk about all of the button-up procedures. The main thing is we just don't want there to be any surprises when this house gets delivered. When a dealer says, oh, we weren't sure that we needed to do that, or what's this process like? We just want to be upfront and communicate to them what we can accomplish inside our factory and what we're going to lean on our dealer to do when it's on site.
It's a great process. It's really streamlined way of doing it. It's a great way of building, and it's just really important to know what's on you, what's coming, and so everybody's on the same page right up front.
That's right. Tyler does a great job, as all of our dealers do, of selling our product. We build it, he sells it, we set it, and we get happy customers in the end.
Absolutely.